So, um, we have people today. Selena, are you in Brazil or in
I'm in Portugal.
we have someone from Portugal. We have someone from London. We have someone from Penn State. Uh, we have someone from Somerville, several people from Somerville, uh, and some very dear friends of yours who are um, looking forward to this.
May I just intrude by saying we have somebody from California where it's going to be 82 today.
Oh, oh.
Woohoo!
Well, more than one, actually.
Good.
Yeah. So, Gail, do you feel like reading your poem?
Why, yes, what a nice idea.
Okay. Do you want to give it a shot?
Okay. Am I loud enough? You
Yes.
are. Blue umbrella, dear Isle. Kai says, here, let me fix that. You don't know how. This elegant mechanism, a present for my daughter, topped by its own wind hat, engineered not to turn inside out in nor'easters or August hurricanes. Ingenious invention of China and Egypt, emblem of rank in remote antiquity, collapsible shade, pampering portable sunscreen at least a millennium before a damp Brit eureka the thought of keeping dry. Bishop's Crusoe fashioned one on his desolate island, had such a time remembering the way the ribs would go. Palpable perfection, centuries in the making. Cobalt canopy I left sprung open to dry outdoors, away from the library's waxed floor. A courtesy, I thought, and someone shoved it into a railing. So one of the little wooden caps that tip the steel ribs and hold the waterproof cloth taut has split. Now there's a gap in my assurance of shelter. Ruined, ruined, I think. My small losses resound to me today as titanic reefs. But Kai, who makes his art from what you might call nothing, toothpicks, mussel shells, buttons, discarded books, garlic stems, will find anywhere in Toronto or Kowloon or at this island's dump swap shop the raw ingredients of his dreamy constructions. Kai, who knows I'm not skillful with my hands, yet hasn't turned from me. Kai, smiling in his yellow silk quilted jacket and his black beret in the rain, holds out the deft hand of friendship and takes the ultimate umbrella to his workbench, carving for me two perfect wrinkled caps, one for now, one for the future, when he knows in his heart I'll need another. Don't things always grow? And won't we two be far apart?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I somehow this was just the poem I needed to hear today. Um, so positive about friendship and human interaction and people helping each other. Um, so thank you for writing the poem. Thank you for reading it.
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. Um, um, any some of you must have known this poem for a while. It's been around for a few years. Um, some of you might be new to the poem, And I'm curious, especially about those of you who are new to the poem, what's your response to hearing it for the first time? No one's new to it. Everyone's
Actually,
heard.
I'm new to it. This is the first time,
Oh,
and
Ginny, yeah, what did
yeah, I
yeah.
so it was new to me, and um, the first reading I read with the questions, what's so important about the blue umbrella, and who's Kai? And I learned a lot about both as I read through, and then the
Uh-huh.
interaction between the two, and with the poet, all which was very important. And I liked very much the line about the deft hand of friendship, because
Mhm.
there's one of the differences between the poet and Kai is the use of hands. But I sense there are other differences between them, and they are crossed to form a friendship. I really liked that. And I felt though that there's sort of a melancholy underneath, that the damage to the umbrella taps into something deeper.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I like the way that the friendship helps to smooth that. Um, so that's
Yeah.
what I'll say for now. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
very eloquent. And and I think you're absolutely right that it taps into something deeper, and in the way that I guess we don't think of umbrellas as the ideal form of protection. They're really quite vulnerable, but they are a kind of protection. And so if we lose our capacity to use the umbrella, um, we're threatened in some way. And here is this extremely generous person, an artist in his own field, who can restore the protection that the umbrella offers. Um, I do want to ask someone else. I never do this, Kata. I never do this, but there you are. And you gave your mother the gift of this umbrella, and I've never actually asked you her, about what you thought of her poem.
Well, I read it again yesterday, and it's such a beautiful poem. But I had, of course, forgotten that I appear in it.
Uh-huh.
So, so
Uh-huh.
I loved that. But I think it's a beautiful poem, and it also really strikes me. I loved what the last part, what Jenny said about the hands and the deft hands, and the. I was so struck by the line where she writes that she was useless with her hands, but he didn't turn away from her, as though that would
Yeah.
have been a reason to be rejected, and what that says about, that he didn't need her to be useful with her hands to love
Right.
her, and
Right.
and want to and say like, well, I'm not useless with my hands. I can
Yeah.
bring that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was just beautiful, Mom. I love it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. I don't like calling on people who are not volunteering, but I couldn't resist. And 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 thanks. It's so good that you're here with us this morning. You
It's
had to
really,
get up really early today, didn't you?
it was worth it. One last thing that
Yeah.
struck me is that umbrella, Mom. I bought that umbrella for her because it was so sturdily built. And I wanted it to be sturdily built so that it wouldn't fly away. And so it's so great and ironic that that was the one that broke but needed to be repaired.
Yeah, and that would take a master to repair it. That it's such an artifact. It's such a piece of art that it would take an artist to, you can't bring it into an umbrella store and say, how about carving a couple of little caps for me?
Would we have a couple?
Yes, yes,
Denise and
Catherine.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
thank you, Marita.
Reading it for the first time, um, I kept thinking of a phrase one of my kids says, which is waiting for the plot, waiting for the plot. and 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 I think that when he knows in his heart, I'll need another, don't things always break, and won't we two be far apart? That was adequate for me in that way. And I like the phrase that you picked out about deft hand of friendship. And we know he has that Fixer had a deft hand, and it's he who's reaching out and accepting whatever hand of friendship is coming back to him. I also was very glad to see the word cobalt, because I couldn't, it said blue, and I went, yeah, what color blue? And is that important to the whole feeling of the umbrella? And obviously, cobalt is a beautiful color, and so that's part of it. What a nice present! I thought was really special. And the depression in the middle. I think my small losses resound in me today as titanic griefs. Well, yeah, that's life. That's. I think that's such a encapsulation of much of the human condition,
Yeah.
And yet, won't we two be far apart? But it's okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all the little details, you could sort of put in some walks of life. People say you can't have that many details. You cannot have those little words all the time. You have to make your point. No, you don't have to in poetry. You can just layer them up.
Yeah.
I think Denise, and then Hume,
Oh,
and then Sarah.
Great. Denise,
Good morning,
good morning.
you and everybody. I was reading this for the first time and was struck by its telescoping of time and structure, because early on there are references to China and Egypt and ancient antiquity, and then it sort of moves into a middle phase of humor in another empire. A damp Brit sound is close in sound to damn Brit, which is something people have said. And and then there's Crusoe, but the story does move it. The mishap in the library where a courteous person is punished for their courtesy by somebody squashing the precious umbrella. And then it comes into the present time with a story about the repair. And then it moves into the future, explicitly named, don't things always break, and won't we two be far apart? And then the other telescoping is structural, where you go from these collapsible shades, pampering portable sunscreens, at least a millennium ago, with which you can imagine, the sort of umbrella that's held over a potentate, and then that moves into more modest umbrellas, including Crusoe's homemade one, and then this perfection of an indestructible umbrella, which is in fact badly damaged. And then it comes down to one wooden cap of that umbrella, from the top of the tower and the heights of antiquity to a broken wooden cap on a far island. And that's where the poem resolves in time and in structure. Anyway, it's a tour de force, as they say.
Hume.
Yes. So I need Kai. I have several umbrellas that
Don't we all? Don't we all?
yeah. So I was struck by the appreciation of the engineering. I'm an engineer, and that's something that immediately struck me. The attention to the detail of the history that Denise just outlined so well. But overall, what struck me about the poem was the great condensation, the density of the entire piece, and its references outside the poem to Bishop. And now I when I first read it, I thought Bishop referred to some Brit who had an engineer friend, Defoe, who made the umbrella. So I had to look it up, and then I found there's sort of this, what is it, a Matryoshka doll system here, where you go from this poem to Bishop's poem, and then embedded in Bishop's poem is Wordsworth's poem. I wondered, what is it? I wandered out to the clouds with something.
Lonely as a cloud, yeah.
Yes.
The
And
daffodil poem. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And then and the reference in the Bishop poem is to a line in the Wordsworth poem that ends in solitude. So, and that seems to connect to this last sort of fragment of. So that's sort of the summary of what I love this poem, and thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you, Hume. Sarah?
Yes, well, hi. First, the big thing is this poem sent me down a rabbit hole. I know we can get anything on Google, but I happen to have my collected Bishop, and I had not read Crusoe in England. So
what
this
a
was
treat.
yes, this was definitively Bishop's Crusoe mentioned, not Defoe's. So I loved being in that rabbit hole and looking for just little breadcrumbs, of mentionings of things. But the thing that really struck me first, since I'd never read this poem either, was that we open with this elegant mechanism, and then it is the ultimate umbrella, and everything in between is like this Nerudian ode to the umbrella. How many different ways can we praise this wind hat, this ingenious invention, emblem of rank, collapsible shade? I don't know which I love more, wind hat or collapsible shade, pampering portable sunscreen, cobalt canopy, palpable perfection. I mean, it's just all of these wonderful metaphors for, I named my company, my lecture company, Umbrella Productions. I don't know. This poem was such a joy to read, but then there, for those things, but then this breadcrumbing of the friendship, this very deep, abiding relationship with this character Kai through the poem. Kai knows. He knows a lot,
Yeah.
And I just felt that beautiful heartbeat of this friendship relationship going, starting the poem and ending the poem. And as somebody else had mentioned, it might have been Kathleen, these last two lines about, Kai knows in his heart, I'll need another. Don't things always break? I mean, this is life,
Yeah.
and won't we two be far apart when it does? So there's that care and concern to give an extra, hand wrought cap. There's just so many things that work in this poem, and especially for somebody who hasn't seen it before, it's like a treat, and it was a real extra treat to have Gail read it. So thank you.
Great. Good. Kata, did you have a hand up before or no? Okay. I'd like to make a little transition because it really it struck me rereading the poem. It is a poem that I've loved from the very moment I saw it. And I think it was first published in the Atlantic, Gail. Wasn't this in the Atlantic?
I
No,
hope.
maybe not. No.
I would
I think
hope so, but
I think I'm mixing it up with another blue poem of yours, the Blue Bonnets. Gail has very good poems about blue. Uh, um, but what really struck me was something that some of you have already mentioned before was just how skillfully it was put together. And um and can we sort of talk a little bit about some of the formal elements in this poem because they're very subtle, I think. And then they really they give the poem a kind of backbone that is structurally, and even the structure of the line and the rhythm of the words. They're not pounding you over the head, but in a very subtle way, they are indestructible. Kathy, I see you nodding, but do you want to actually say anything? And Jennifer, I see your hand is up.
Are you talking to me, Lloyd?
I am talking to you, yes.
This poem, I am in awe of these sentences and line breaks. I mean, look at it. There's a kind of turning point in the poem in the middle, from the history of the umbrella and the courtesy of Kai. And then now there's a gap in my assurance of shelter. And something turns there. And the rest of it, I believe I've been reading and reading and reading it. It's just one sentence, what you call maybe a periodic sentence. Is that correct, Marian's? And yet it is so easy to follow. And I just think for me, that's just an amazing kind of skill to keep that sentence going so clear, pulling us along. Yeah, I think that's amazing. The poem keeps taking us more and more places, even after it kind of puts us squarely in this block of grief.
Yeah. Yeah. Jennifer?
Thank
you.
Really just to follow on that, because that's what I've been noticing too, especially the long sentence that's the last half of the poem, how it's what it poses against the ruined things. That sentence, which starts ruined, I think, is Kai. And each new sort of piece on the Calder mobile that is this sentence starts again with Kai, Kai who makes his art from this, Kai who knows I'm not this, Kai smiling, eventually then holds out the deft hand of friendship. So we see the way in the sentence itself, Kai is balanced against what's ruined. And of course, the poem started with just that gesture too, and with the name too. Kai says, "Here, let me fix." So it's that something about the way that almost incantation holds it together, the invocation of Kai structuring the poem and structuring that sentence is also enacting the friendship. And the other little thing I'd add in there is just because I don't think anybody's mentioned these lines particularly, is I love the idea that Kai, who makes his art from what you might call nothing. I like that description and then the list that follows from what you might call nothing or what might be in a junk shop. So there's some parallel between the ability to fix anything and the ability to make art out of nothing or to make art out of junk.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill, thank you.
Yeah, well, in response to your request for comments on structure, I think the marvelous thing, which I guess people have already mentioned, is the distance it travels. We start with just the little episode, the encounter with Kai, but by the end of the poem, we've reached, well, a kind of recognition of entropy, I suppose, the tendency of all things to break, and the possibility of moments of human solidarity as somehow withstanding that inevitable tendency towards dissolution. And in a way, the poem has displaced Larkin for me as an Arnoldian touchstone. I've always tended to think of the great master of poems which start with just little incidents but end up with big proclamations as being typified by Larkin. But I think this poem does it more skillfully. It makes actually Larkin's conclusions, like the one to Dockery and Son, life is first boredom, then fear, whether or not you use it, it goes, leaves what something hidden from you chose, and age, and then the only end of age. That sounds almost too portentous. So what I love about the conclusion to this is that it does invoke bigger issues, the tendency of all things to break apart, but we hardly move outside its originating occasion. We remain there with Kai and the mended umbrella. I've probably gone on too long, but let me just say one or two other things. I think the word choices and as they bear upon the structure are remarkable. We begin with all these rather high-flown celebrations of human ingenuity, and then we get the word shoved. Someone's shoved it into a railing. So that word is so much more demotic than anything else which has appeared in the poem up until that point. And of course, it signals a breakdown in faith in human civility and decency in a way. And when we get to there's a gap in my assurance of shelter, it feels like a gap of a bigger kind, a gap in the assurance of people's decency. If someone can just shove an umbrella, which was thoughtfully put outside to spare a waxed floor, into a railing, then hasn't the whole battle for goodness and kindness been lost? And but of course, so cleverly, Gail doesn't say the assurance of civility. She says the assurance of shelter and leaves it to the reader to propose the bigger breakdown which occurs at that point. I think it's utterly marvelous, and it becomes a sort of new touchstone for me of how to do these things. I think it's great.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Denise, you have your hand up.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. One of the things that struck me at first too was the elegant inner music of this poem.
Oh, I so agree.
And I haven't mapped all of it out, but I was struck by, and I don't know anything about music, but it seemed to me almost like a minuet in certain places because of certain phrases that are 7 syncopated syllables and that are important phrases, and I'll go through a few. Elegant mechanism, elegant mechanism, and then ingenious, invention, in remote antiquity, Bishop's Crusoe fashioned one, and it goes on like that.
Yeah, I was so struck by that rereading the poem this time. The musicality and um and a formal playfulness that's both very consistent but also elusive. Robin, what were you going to say? There you go.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is such a Gail Mazur poem in its its casualness, its informality, and yet its uh, uh, ability to raise so many, um, as someone said, so many issues, so basic to living and dying, so basic to forming connections between people, so basic to any understanding of yourself as a citizen of one country or another, or how our citizenships are enmeshed. And I mean, it's just such a classic Gail Mazur poem in the kind of joining together of this casual, frank American vernacular. And what's great about poetry, American poetry or any poetry, is its ability to kind of get you in the throat and in the heart. And this is just one of her many poems that do that. And it's so nice to hear everybody I love hearing everybody finding so much richness in the lines. Thank you all for that.
Yeah, yeah. There's some that I mean I look at the poem and I think Tintern Abbey or one of Coleridge's conversation poems. And it looks like it's in iambic pentameter.
Blank verse, yeah.
Yeah. And you can make it sound like it's in iambic pentameter, but it's also there's a kind of balance between the formality and the freedom. So there's something very playful about the technical adeptness of the poem that becomes heartbreaking at the end by the end of the poem. And won't we two be far apart? That's even the worst thing. That it's the saddest thing that you you don't just lose the umbrella, but you lose the person. And the person who is helping you is in a way trying to make sure that he doesn't get lost and that you don't get lost. Jennifer.
Two small points. One is that, again, that phrase, his dreamy constructions, describing what Kai makes out of the long list. That's, of course, a point of parallel between the poet here and Kai, because everything that she's listing that goes into his dreamy construction has made its way into her
Into her poem. Yeah.
dream construction. And then just a small note on this rhythmic point, which I can't cook more cleanly, but it follows a little bit on what Denise was saying and the resistance to a kind of pentameter. That phrases like dreamy construction, elegant mechanism, ingenious invention, they encourage triple, they won't fall into alternating iambs or trochees. They will pepper in what rolls along a dactyl or an anapest. elegant ingenious invention. It's got that kind of lilt, but a little bit more of a skipping alternation in there. It's certainly, I don't mean to suggest that that's a backbeat or a pattern, but the proportion of those, which I think is something that Denise's ear is picking up on in her phrases, is something that kind of rounds out and softens and makes both conversational and musical the lines.
Yeah.
I was just going to add, this is sort of in addition to what Denise was saying. I love thinking about this as the music of the poem. It's just a beautiful way to think about the poem. So that's all.
Yeah, let me just introduce you, Marita, to some people who haven't been here before. But Marita is the librarian who makes these monthly discussions possible, and we're so grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love this group. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Lloyd.
My pleasure entirely.
Someone JA raised their hand.
Oh yes. Please, I missed that.
Oh, sorry, it was a mistake. I apologize. I'm enjoying listening to the discussion. I have nothing really to add. I'm just really enjoying it.
I bet that's not true, but we'll take your word for it. Anyone else?
I have one thing.
Oh, Dan, hi. I didn't
hi.
even see you.
I started off on another computer that didn't have a camera, but then I realized, I have some show and tell, I think.
Oh.
I borrowed this recently. I don't actually know if it's the blue umbrella, but it's a blue umbrella, and it does have little wooden caps. So
oh, thank you.
We can pretend it is if it isn't.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
I'm going to enter this into evidence.
But
Wonderful.
Is it topped by a wind hat?
No. Although it looks like maybe something. Yeah, no, I don't know. So wait, is it? No, I don't know. This is a counterfeit blue umbrella. But it's Gail's. It's not mine.
Okay. Thank you. That's great.
Lloyd?
Yes.
It's Bonnie. I wanted
Hi,
to
Bonnie.
add.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to add a small note on the musicality. I think my second or third time through, I put a musical note at the lines of where the incident happens, and where there's almost kind of a key change in contrast to the things that Denise was talking about, where things have been so fluid, and now someone's shoved it into a railing, so one of the little wooden caps that tip the steel ribs and hold the waterproofed cloth taut has split, and suddenly it becomes staccato and I love the way that I will call it a key change almost in the way the language fits together happens at the moment that the umbrella is injured.
Denise, thank you. Yes, I do. I agree with you.
Sorry to speak again, but this poem has been so inspiring. I just have to. And Bonnie said, key change. And what I noticed was a sea change, because this is a poem about islands. And, I guess you would call it an epigraph. It's Blue Umbrella, Dear Isle. And then, it's no coincidence that she makes reference to Bishop's Crusoe on his desolate island. And what makes it desolate, of course, is that he has to make his own umbrella, and he can't even remember the way the ribs would go. And then moving on, there's a prefiguration, but this is, Titanic griefs, which kind of is a preview of the end here. This idea of ruined, but then the next reference is to an island is at this island's dump. And a dump is a place you would think for ruined things. But this one isn't, because Kai is smiling in his yellow silk quilted jacket and handing her, the cure for ruination, in this moment, and then in some future time delicately alluded to in a way that very delicate, and won't we two be far apart, which is, perhaps could be inferred on separate islands in some alone future, where if you've got the wooden tip, you've got that cure for ruination.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
This is Susan Donnelly posing as David.
Oh, it's funny. I didn't recognize you. Hi, Susan.
Hi. It's wonderful. Whoops. Wouldn't you know, my phone rings at that time. It's not meant to be, I think. Sorry. All right, I'll say what I wanted to say. I love the central part of the poem, which seems to me to be a kind of summation of the action of a poet. There's a gap in my assurance of shelter, kind of feeling sorry for herself in a way. I meant as the courtesy, and then, people aren't that courteous, I guess, around here. Ruined, I think, and then she puts in the self-knowledge. My small losses resound in me today as titanic griefs. Who hasn't felt that? And then she takes courage again, like Kai, who makes his art from what you might call nothing. And in a way, that's what she's proceeded to do here. Because what would you call it? An umbrella gets broken, you liked it, and it was fixed. That's not a enormous life-shattering event. And that's what this writer, this poet, has managed to survive and do. And I put forward that for many of us, that's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
We don't answer our phones, though. Thank you, Lord. That's it.
Thank you. I wanted to, congratulate Gail and another one of our participants today for their new books. So Gail has a new book called World on a String, and John Pajewski has a new book called Collected Father. They're both in very different ways spectacular books, and really wonderful books. And there's a poem. I'm not going to. It's not a long poem, but I'm just going to read a stanza from it. Gail has a poem called Inscription in her new book, which is about the story about a conversation between Robert Lowell and a friend of his. And it says, they were crossing the campus he'd fled decades before, where his ancestors loomed, iconic, judgmental, and where now he taught. Two colleagues, well employed, and the friend asks Lowell how he'd want to be remembered, and his answer is heartbreaking. And I think I want to say, I mean, I find this poem and Gail's poems heartbreaking. And that when I get to the end of the poem, and they're amusing and some of them are hilarious, and that I don't know, it seems to me that the best poems are the ones that leave you heartbroken, even though they may not have this doesn't exactly have a tragic ending, but there's something heartbreaking about Kai acknowledging that these two friends who care about each other aren't are going to be far apart. And it's what happens even with our dearest friends. And um, John's book is heartbreaking in a different way because it's a devastating series of poems about a family that survived, his family that survived the war, and the war has had devastating effects on the family and on the poet. So congratulations to both of you on these really wonderful new books. Bravo. Charles, you have your hand up, and then Bill.
Yeah, I was looking more at the structure of this poem, and
Yeah,
at
good.
first it eluded me, and then I realized, by counting on many, many fingers, you've got 17 lines, and then
Ooh.
and then another 17 lines, right? So that point that looks like a kind of transition really is the exact center of the poem. And everything before that is essentially a list of extended noun phrases. It's like that George Herbert poem, Prayer
Oh,
to
prayer. Yeah.
nothing else. And then it turns into a narrative. And it does it sort of behind your back and before you notice that anything has changed at all. And it's as delicate a transition from a list to a story as I can think of in any poem. It's just gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that the connection to Herbert. To Bill Bennett.
This may be a little too obvious, but I don't know that anyone else has actually said it, that throughout there's also the fact that this tiny defect has rendered a lovely structure, if not useless, at least defective. And it comes back with Bishop's Crusoe, the importance of the ribs, of putting the thing together. But once this little wooden tip is damaged, the thing will look crippled in its way, as umbrellas do. And is a kind of ekphrastic aspect of the poem that I find engaging. The small damage, but then the thing itself is lost.
Yeah, which I think is very much connected with what I was thinking is so heartbreaking, that it doesn't take much, in a way, it doesn't take much to break your heart. And it could be the loss of an umbrella or the loss of a friendship, which for no reason except for you're just far apart.
But even the redemption is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
The thing is saved for now.
Yeah, right.
And but the false umbrella, the imposter, is some indication that even redemption won't last.
Yeah. Jennifer, thank you, Bill.
I just think the title, Blue Umbrella, has a nice sort of wobbly effect on me. That on the one hand, there's sort of it wants to recall "Let a smile be your umbrella," but this is a blue umbrella, so it's like a kind of a smiling through umbrella. Anyway, that
Oh,
the that the blue mood, the blue moon of this blue umbrella is over it, but it's also a smile. This is the heartbreaking mix of it. That
oh, I'm so glad you brought up the title. I was waiting for someone to do that. Yeah, it's really, and it's so, there's something very mysterious about it too, that it's some kind of, it's a kind of, it's almost like a magic wand. It's that there's something magical about this thing that shouldn't be as important as it is to its owner, and yet it should be, because there's so much uh oh hmm uh we'll get back to that in a second. um there's something, I mean, you really want to read a poem called Blue Umbrella. You see that title and um it just makes you want to read it, and then you don't want to stop. Um, uh, Denise, yeah. Uh, oh, uh, uh, oh, can, oh, yeah, yeah. Can you read? The chats go by too fast for me, and they're in such small print. So could you just, those of you who have chatted what look like very interesting things, could you just repeat what you've just posted in the chat? Who? Oh, Charles, yeah.
A couple of us remembered Leonard Cohen's song, Famous Blue Raincoat,
Oh, yes.
from about 1971, so
Oh,
before this
God.
poem.
I remember 1971. Denise, you had
You won't?
something? Oh, sorry, Charles.
No, I was just going to say, you only think you do.
Touche, touche. Denise, you posted something, and Jennifer, I think you posted something too.
Yeah, I said the title made me think of the man with the blue guitar,
Oh,
Wallace Stevens.
yeah.
Yeah. Schwartz. The man bent over his guitar, a shearsman of sorts. The day was green. They said, "You play a blue guitar. You play of things not as they are." The man replied, "Things as they are changed upon the blue guitar."
Hmm. Thank you. Wow, I haven't thought about that poem in a very long time. It's great. Jennifer, what were you?
Well, Charles and I just had the same
Oh,
thought at the same time. But I would say in Gail's work, the blue that this one takes me back to is that studio that gets painted blue that has all the recurring blue rhymes. I'm sorry, I forget the title of
the studio, my studio.
yeah, that's what I wanted to call it. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
because blue
blue,
and all the
blue.
blue rhymes are threaded all the way through that one too. So you'd have to prop up the blue umbrella in the corner of the blue studio.
Of the right. Yeah, yeah. Um, Gail had a cat named Blue. Did you not, Gail? Didn't you have a cat named Blue?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
Okay.
his name wasn't blue, well, his name wasn't blue, but he was a Prussian blue. That was his breed.
Oh, I'm just mixing that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so Mensch was his name.
Mensch.
Mensch was his name,
Right.
but he was a Prussian blue.
Right. And I think the poem that Gail wrote about Mensch was called Blue, if I'm not mistaken, but I may be. I know there's Martha. Ah, some words of wisdom or ooh.
Oops. I really, I'm at Gale's, so I can't really.
But we
I'm
can
walking
see,
around so that I don't
we can see
get
you
sound in two places.
No, but we can see you and hear
So
you very
I think I'll
well.
just leave this for other folks.
Okay. Sorry. I
Oops. Sorry.
no, I apologize for
Yeah, I didn't have my sound on either because I was relying on just listening to Gail in there. I'm walking around Gail's house right now.
Oh.
Um, I've-
Well, we're getting quite the tour.
yeah, I had just not planned to say anything. And other people have said things that I care very much about the form of the poem, the syntax of the poem. I love the long sentence. And one thing I guess I would add about that is that when the poem makes that shift that Charles so beautifully mathematically acknowledged.
Yes.
And it also, that's the point where the shift comes from the object of the blue umbrella to Kai. Kai begins the poem, but then it's umbrella. And then once we come to the middle of the poem, it's Kai, as somebody pointed out earlier, who sort of carries that sentence. And so what had begun as looking at the object now becomes a focus on Kai and on friendship, and the poem expands in that kind of way. Another thing, little tiny thing I loved was people have talked about these wonderful phrases. I love the alliterative palpable perfection, cobalt canopy, ultimate umbrella, just those little pieces of music.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
I knew you'd have something interesting and important to say.
Now I'm going back.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? I think you've been brilliant. All of you have been just brilliant today and really covering everything that I've been thinking about in and especially in my own oh yeah. Ted, would you repeat what you just wrote in the chat?
Maybe I'll just do it by reading.
Good.
In his heart, I'll need another. Don't things always break? And won't we two be far apart?
Very iambic.
Indeed. And I think it's a way of ending a poem with a sort of sense of solid music, which is embellished by the rhyme of apart and heart. And it drops the poem into a new register of sort of finality, clarity, and sadness.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Beautifully put. Thank you for I think that heart apart rhyme in those last two lines is devastating. And it's so understated. I mean, you think of there must be a million love songs that have to do with heart and apart. And and that but this is really it it's so heartbreaking. What a wonderful uh thank you, Kata. Thank you, and Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining us today. Dan, thank you so much for
Sure. Can I
participating.
actually,
Yeah.
one line that I just wanted to call attention to is the list of things
Oh,
that
yeah.
Kai's art is made from, and how
Arlington.
each of those things is kind of thematic, or almost like it's building an umbrella itself. There's like toothpicks, these delicate things, mussel
Right.
shells, which are this protective
Yeah.
covering. What's the third one?
Buttons.
Buttons holding
Dis
things together. Discarded books and like,
discarded books and
yeah. And you
garlic
think of
stems.
even a book, you could more like people putting newspapers over their head, but holding a book. Not to get too specific about it being umbrella-like, but there's something about each of those objects, garlic stems.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Gail,
Question.
Yes.
a question?
Yeah, because
Catherine, yeah.
there's no way ever to get an answer, except now. You have at the beginning uh, China and Egypt. Those are ancient cultures. That's fine. But why Toronto and Kowloon? Was Kowloon partly for the K?
Um, I I would say partly for the K, but also
Island.
yeah, but also Toronto seems very
Name?
plain
Yeah.
and urban and and Kowloon. I mean, what's more exotic than Kowloon, except if you drive up Route 1 and and see that Asian fantasy restaurant up there.
Except Kowloon is mainly a gambling place, I think.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Ah. Um, oh, and Ted has added, and also all those O's. Uh, yeah. Um, uh, well, Gail, it's a wonderful poem.
Thank you. I can't tell you how amazing it's been to hear so many people I admire and some I love talk about this poem. It's a unique experience, and it's made me very happy. And I think I'll go and cry a little bit.
Oh,
excellent.
Good, good, good. We
Well,
will.
every poem should end with a heartbreak.
Yes. Right, right, exactly.
Gail,
Thank you.
I also just wanted to mention how beautiful your reading of the poem was. This has been mentioned before, but I heard more music when you read it than when I read it aloud many times, and I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you very much. I can put that on my job description. Maybe I
Well,
could.
thank you so much for um for being willing to participate in this. Thank you everyone for coming. Um, Martha, thank you uh, in particular for being here today and helping get this show on the road. Um, Good to see some of you from really far away and from not so far away. Um, and Thank you, Meredith. Um, and really thank you all for being here. And Marita, as always, thank you so much for letting this happen.
Oh, it's a pleasure, really. This group, all of you, Gail, this group has been such a constant, and it's such a love to be with you all. So I really appreciate it. And it's really nice to hear a poem from you, Gail, and in your voice as well. So thank you all. And the recording will be available. I'll send out a message when it's available. But really,
And
I
the hard,
can't tell you how.
and the hard part is how do you follow this?
I'm available.
Well, I'm sorry. Oh, you're available. Be careful what you what you wish for. Um, uh, Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lloyd.
What a pleasure.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
And thank you, Gail.
Thank you.